This meeting of the Sebastian Natural Resource Board, Tuesday, December 1st. If we could, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we please have roll call?
Yes. Mr. Cledwin.
I'm here.
Mr. Carano.
Here.
Mr. Carrier.
Here.
Ms. Ware.
Present.
Mr. Bradley. Mr. Powers. Mr. Powers. Ms. Mosblick.
I'm here.
Okay. Ms. Mosblick.
I'm here.
Ms. Callahan.
Present.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from November 3rd?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 3rd.
I second it.
Tom motioned first, Donna motioned second. Is there any discussion on that? Move to vote to approve the minutes. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes is passed. Move on to item 5, announcements. Item A, Sustainable Sebastian Implementation Plan was well received at the November 18th City Council meeting.
A special thanks to Charles and Jeffrey who came to support it. I think it's definitely well received by the council. Again, we're really thankful to have their continued support on the program.
Well, it's the accumulation of 3 years of work, a little bit more than that. It's something that we can really hang our hats on, everybody here at the table, the new people, the people who've been here for a while. It's really good to know that when you put the effort forward like that, something really good can come out of it. I know it's just a stepping stone. There's a lot more that goes to sustainability than where we're at, but we have to start somewhere, and this really takes a good chop at getting us on that right path. And again, I'd like to thank Ms. Hagler personally and everybody else who was involved with it, because obviously I wouldn't have been able to put together a spreadsheet that looks so well and everything planned out like it is, because it is a 5-year implementation plan. Ranges from everything from livability to clean energy projects for the buildings. So there's a lot that goes into it, and there's going to be a lot of work to do over the next 5 years. It really set the groundwork for when we're gone, because again, we're not going to all live forever, and eventually we'll move on to different boards. But it really sets the framework for 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what this city is going to look like and feel like, and obviously make it more desirable. Does anybody have any other comments on item A for the Sustainable Sebastian implementation plan that was received? We'll move on to item B then, the comprehensive plan public engagement on December 2nd. So that's tomorrow. And that is basically the last chance, I believe, for the general public to affect the major comp plan that's going on right now. So if you're listening or if you're a part of this already, tomorrow is it. If you have something that you don't like, and again, it's everything that's in the comp plan is going to be there. Mr. Loring?
Can you hear me? So it's going to be the first 8 elements. It's more of a workshop type format. I believe we're going to have one more gloss over with the remainder of the comp plan prior to its adoption. But this will give residents the chance to kind of look over the plan. We're going to have some maps set up, and we're going to have the elements broken down into individual pieces. So if there's something that somebody's really interested in, like transportation or schools or something like that, this would be the time and place that they can ask those questions.
Is there any limitations on what they could ask? I mean, pretty much everything's on the table right now, because we've been working on the coastal, that's our part, is the coastal resiliency part, and that was, I mean, we were on that for months.
And a lot of the items that are part of the coastal conservation element have been crossed over. So a lot of things we discussed weren't in the plan the section we were reviewing, because they were crossed over into different sections. So it's kind of good to glance over the whole thing to see, because of course, sustainability and environmental is going to cross over into all of those elements ultimately.
For me, sustainability is a lot about resilience. And everything that goes along with that. Does anybody have any other comments on the engagement for tomorrow? It's between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then again from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So it's going to be in the morning and then late evening. If there's something you want to put your 2 cents in, bring it to the table. It's an open forum.
Apologize, sorry, there's a typo there. It's 5 to 7 p.m.
Oh, 5 to 7.
Sorry about that.
Good thing you caught me there. We were like, okay, it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., then there's a break, and then it picks up again at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
They're really like 2 separate sessions, so you can come to one or the other. It's not like you have to commit to all day or anything.
And I'm sure you're not going to really be able to speak for a long period of time. They've been working on this for a long time. It would have to be something really specific to make a really huge change to everything that's going on right now. But again, you may find something that they just completely overlooked, or you're going to bring something to the table to just knock everybody's socks off. You never know. Or perhaps it is such a good thing that it doesn't need any public input. So they really have been working on it. Every single city person that's attached to this, from Ms. Frazier on down, has really, really worked hard at this new comp plan. And I think it's something that the city of Sebastian is going to really be able to be a stakeholder in. Is there any other additional comment on item B, comprehensive plan public engagement for tomorrow? I'll move on to item C then. MRC Indian River Lagoon Health Report Card webinar on December 5th, 12 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. Do you want to comment on that, Kim?
That's they do that every year, and it usually travels around the different environmental organizations. The MRC gets to hit it first in this area. So, and it's the Indian River Lagoon Health Report Card, so it'll be about the water quality, the seagrasses, all the latest data. And it's a free webinar, and it's 12 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. It's one or the other. It's going to be the same.
Now, does that have anything to do with the day in the life of the lagoon that we did? Didn't we? Where we did
different. That's a snapshot day event.
Snapshot
That's different
day
data.
event? Are they interrelated?
Different funding, different programming,
stuff,
different
all
data.
right.
Yeah.
So is this on the city's menu to get to participate in the?
You have to go to the MRC page. That's the Marine Resources Council.
Okay.
And they have it'll prompt you for a donation if you want. It's like a couple dollars to $5 if you want.
With the Indian River Marine Resource Council, are they still looking for volunteers or any board positions that you would know of that could be filled there?
Marine Resources Council, and I think you're thinking of Indian River Lagoon Council. Those are two completely
different
separate
things.
entities.
True. Is there any additional comment on item C? Webinar on December 8th, 12 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. I'll move on to number 6, public input. And we will start with the public here. I would like to say some of our public today has Councilman Fred Jones in here. And, oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking down. I apologize. And my bad. And I apologize for that. I guess there is no other public input. I thought somebody was going to come up today and speak, but there is none. Is anybody on Zoom?
There is not at this time. No one has raised their hands.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 7, new business. Looks like the Christmas parade is back on.
As of the November 18th City Council meeting, the parade is back on. However, it wasn't enough time for us to get our float and all of that together, which is, disappointing, but it's also, we won't be handing out things either, so. But if, I haven't heard from everyone if they wanted to participate or not, and I could facilitate getting the supplies, because the banner and the lights and everything we already have, and they're upstairs. So, I know that Charles, is there anyone else that is interested?
Well, it
Or is
says it's an
available?
actionable item. Should we vote on to see if we want to participate as a
Well,
board this year?
all we need is 2 people.
Do you guys want to, do you want to talk about
It's
this?
not really, I mean, if they can't participate, why, then they're not going to vote on it. Just, does
Right.
anyone want to volunteer? Once we have 2 people, then we have 2 people to carry a banner. We're just leaving it
All
at
right.
that.
Well, I would like to be one of them.
Right.
I have personal feelings on this, but it's an actual item, and I'm kind of one of those who like to get through the actionable item, just move through it.
This is Saturday?
This is on Friday.
Friday.
Hmm?
Would anybody else like to participate?
I know that,
I can't. I would,
Oh, no,
but I
that's okay.
can't.
I know I won't be in town because I had already made plans
What's
before
the
when it was
date and
canceled,
time?
so.
It looks like it's December 11th, I believe, and it's right at nightfall. It's about a 1.5 mile walk, give or take a little bit. We've done it, for 3 years now, and we're right behind the city council people and right in front of the fire truck. And they're kind of loud. And I could just drive the car. We'll just put banners on it. The car has it's battery operated. So-
Also advertise as a business.
Well, no,
so
we'll
we
put
can't do
banners
that.
on it, cover everything up. But I'll take one more person if somebody else wants to hold the other side. Now, if we don't have 2 people, are we still going to participate?
We need 2 people to carry a banner. I know one person would do.
If we don't have 2 people, we'll just cancel our participation for this year if I don't have any interest. Do you want to take a vote? Do we have to take a vote on that?
And to say, it's not that members aren't interested, it's just that this came kind of late in the day, and a lot of people already had plans.
And
You know.
what exactly how are they doing it?
We typically commit to this in like early November, so
Right.
this isn't something we usually discuss this late.
But, I mean, where, are they the same walk? I mean, I understood that there wasn't any gathering at the park afterwards.
Right, no gathering
So-
prep, but usually by the time we go through, that's already finished up anyway. And it goes down from Main Street Boat Pier, down to Riverview Park, and then up to US 1 and down.
I like what Vero's doing. They're doing a parade, the parade itself is, they're all staying at the airport and the people are going by.
So I happened to be at Mulligan's that morning when they did the Halloween parade that way. And it was super cute because we had a seat where we could see the people driving through. All the organizations had tables.
Yeah.
And they ran out with gift bags, but people were dressing up their cars and they were in costumes and themed their cars to match their costumes. It was really cute. It was a pretty cute idea.
I think it's our only chance for exposure usually, but with everything else going on.
I think that we won't need to worry about. I think that the way things are shaping up with the vaccine coming out, and I think that the end of April is going to be the first time that people will be able to relax maybe a little bit and enjoy an outdoor festival. So I think that Earth Day is going to be plenty of exposure for us.
We don't need to vote on this, do we?
Nope.
No, okay. All right, so Christmas parade for us is non-participatory. All right, any other comment on item A? All right, let's move on to item B, Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration planning. Yay, for April 24th. Okay, item B, number 1, entertainment update and approval of funds.
So thankfully, Brian O'Neill is staying in charge of the entertainment for us just because he has such great connections, and he did, if anyone was there the 2 years ago, the best entertainment at Earth Day ever. I think it had a great, it was a great day. And so he's booked the same people that were planned for last year. So it's from 9 to 10 a.m. will be Jason Nails, solo artist, and 10 to 12 a.m. to noon will be the Golden Ukers and special guests, and they were fantastic. And 2 to 4 will be Robert Johnson and his Coal Dusters band. And then this year, Chaos Sound, who we paid for before, they're offering their services complimentary. So for all the entertainment is $300 total. I just need a vote for approval on that so that he can write up the contracts and give it to the bands.
I make a motion to approve the $300 for April 24th.
Thank you.
I'll second that. Can we get a vote? Voice
Aye.
vote? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any additional comment from any, wait, we got people on Zoom who are participating too. Did you guys want to vote in?
It's all good from my perspective.
Same here. This is Nikki. I would vote aye.
This is Patrick. I voted aye.
It looks like it passes unanimously. So we'll spend, I'm pretty sure it's in our budget. We haven't spent any money this year. It's been a tough year. Okay, that takes care of item 1. Okay, item 2.
So, Peter from Periodola has offered to donate kegs of beer for the event. And last year, we had discussed the beer, and what it came down to was that how it works for the events is that a nonprofit has to host the beer. It has to be given completely free, and all the profits made from the beer have to go to the nonprofit, but the nonprofit also has to pour the beer. And so when it came down to, yes, the NRB is nonprofit, however, we don't have enough members to spare to pour beer because we all end up having tasks to do. We don't really have enough for that. And we aren't really we don't generate funds like that, or fundraise like that. But this time, Brian, again, he worked with Peter, and he went to Pelican Island Preservation Society, and they're interested in hosting the beer. So they will pour the beer, host the beer, and they'll make the funds from the beer. And I think that's a great pairing that we offer some minimal service that people would enjoy with the entertainment, and then also another environmental group, which is huge in the community, is going to make a little money off of it. But it's up to you. And if you approve, it doesn't mean that it's a go. It's an approval for me to take it to council, to leisure services manager, city manager, and then council for approval.
Can we speak for or against it right now?
However you want.
Tom, do you have any comments?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Donna?
I think it's great, too. I just want to note that now the Pelican Island Preservation Society is now the Pelican Island Conservation Society.
Oh,
They
so
changed
they're PICs?
Yeah, so in case you're making that
Good to know.
on the flyers and stuff.
I didn't get that memo.
Mr. Carrier? Did you
I
comment?
support.
Miss Ruth, or do you have any comments, or Ms. Sublett, Ms. Musblett, I'm sorry.
This is Ruth, I have a comment, and that was, I think we discussed this one a year ago when this came around, and it was, one of the thoughts was about, you're gonna pour it in what, you know, and then you have plastic, single-use plastic kind of concerns. So, is there a way that we can, achieve our overall sustainability, goals, single-use plastic goals? Apparently that was not for me, but anyway, if we have a way to distribute it in, you know, some way that's sustainable,
Absolutely.
that's my only concern. I actually don't have a problem with the alcohol itself.
I think
it's great for the nonprofit.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to say, you know, we would like to go forward this on the, you know, on the condition that we come to terms with a type of cup that's biodegradable, some type of sustainable, you know, the eco corn cups or something like that. We'll figure out something like that.
Ruth, do you have any additional comments?
I like that idea, and I mean, have we talked about, you know, with the program, trying to remember, can't remember the name of the program, but the idea that we might have some alternatives available to those restaurants that we're going to go visit, you know, having even next to the beer, like putting up something that would be able to show alternatives to business and or just consumers so that they can start thinking about that. So where there's beer, people are coming, they'll see it, it'll be more readily evident. And so that's another idea to put along with what you said, Kim.
Yeah, absolutely.
And will you be making notes of like what Ruth had just said here?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other comments, Ruth?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Does anybody else on Zoom participating have any comments?
This is Nikki. I was just going to kind of echo what Ruth had said. I think that was my biggest concern. Again, I don't have any issues with the alcohol or the beer or anything like that. It just, I want to make sure it's in line with our message of Earth Day and sustainability. So finding some way, and I don't even know if it's possible. When we were discussing it last year, I feel like it was very soon before the event and didn't have enough time to kind of plan ahead. I don't know if it's possible to have reusable mugs or cups of some sort that might be used. At the same time, I wouldn't want reusable plastics that just end up getting trashed because people aren't going to actually take them home. So we have to be careful with it. But I think that exploring those options, we should have time if we start talking about it now. So I think it's good to start the discussion.
Is anybody else online who's participating on the board have any comment on this?
This is Patrick, and everything sounds wonderful. And what were the dates of this again?
I believe we're looking at April 24th.
April 24th. Last Saturday in April.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm all for that. Sounds great.
Kim, it's just one day?
It's a really great event. Everybody does something on it. I've been doing the Gopher Turtle and emceeing, and I actually got to learn a lot. And a lot of people go through this event, and they come up, and so whatever task that you're picked to do, you want to be knowledgeable on it. And I found out more about Gopher Turtles and who lives with Gopher Turtles, and everything pretty much goes along with it. They've become basically my friend, and it's really an exciting experience. I have a few reasons to serve beer service. Helps the local businesses by showcasing our local businesses and their business talent, which includes the brewery techniques themselves, distribution, as well as financing and hiring of people who live in the area. It seems that beer, not to get drunk or something like that, or alcoholism is a completely, it's related but unrelated to what we're trying to do here. People aren't looking to get drunk and get hammered or anything like that, but it does draw people to the event. Other events in the city also serve beer. I believe 4th of July with the free and accepted Mason Lodge 232 participates in that, as well as the Lions Club does. And I haven't heard of any negativity coming from those events, such as people getting pulled over for drunkenness, fights, or any other unruly or underage drinking. I haven't heard of any of that, and it's been going on for years. Other nonprofit city events, I just spoke about that with no incidents. Also, even though you may have one thought or another against alcohol, there's a lot of studies that low consumption of a beer, 1 or 2 a day, actually may have some benefits. Everybody from American Heart Association to just about everybody like found out, University of Texas, Loyola University, you can find benefits. It's just in the overconsumption of that alcohol where those benefits just go downhill and you lose any benefits whatsoever. But it's also educational. Beer's been around for a long time. I think we can really tie it into Earth Day. Beer came over on the ships. When the sailors came, beer came with it. It's a way that they could have some type of liquid to drink. Most of the people who own the breweries are business-minded and driven from an entrepreneurial spirit, and that's something else we can also teach.
Charles.
We're all on the same side.
Everyone's on board. You don't need to do a PSA.
I also have to get it through to city council.
We can't be a beer commercial.
Right, I understand.
All right,
I'm just going down my list
And
here.
I'd like to point out that Periodal is also a litter quitter business, so it'd be a great way to showcase our litter quitter businesses in any way we can.
Yeah, because it still has to get voted in by city council too, right? It's not a done deal tonight. Yeah, so I would just like to give them reasons to vote yes for it when that time comes. And of course, we can address the plastic cups and such like that. I was just about done at that moment. Do we have to vote on that?
Yeah, just that, yeah, if you want me to move
Does
forward.
anybody else have any additional comments? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the addition of beer service for Earth Day?
I make a motion to approve the beer service for Earth Day.
I second.
Okay, Donna, motion first. Is there any additional comment? Tom's motion second. And can we get a voice vote for that?
Aye.
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 Is anybody online? And it looks like it was a unanimous vote to have beer service at Earth Day, as long as it passes to everybody else. And then we'll move on to number 3. Board members to choose event task to champion. Again, another actionable item.
So if you look at the last few pages of your packet, this is a summary of the celebration plans. I've been in contact with Waste Management, Debbie Perez, and she's confirmed that we'll do the recycle and shredded event. And also the county stormwater will be doing their chalk art contest. I have that confirmed.
I did talk to several members of the board who said that our art club would participate.
Great. I think that's what we were planning for last year, was to have it a combination of the art show and sale, and I think that's a great way to combine events.
And also the face painting. Too.
And they were going to do face painting. Great. So for retail and food vendors, that's an important job, but again, just like previously, just like last year, but we ended up canceling, Ron from Leisure Services, who's also our gatekeeper, most of you have met him at some point, he is volunteered to help me with the vendors again, which is a huge thing, because it's just a lot to coordinate. And even if one of you volunteers, it ends up being, multiple people end up replying to the same person, it gets complicated, but I still need someone else to volunteer to be on with him just because, like, the first thing that needs done right now is to send out a save the date to the retail and food vendors. And how we operate Earth Day for the new members is that we actually have, I have it listed there, the nrbearthday@gmail.com. We actually have a Gmail that we're approved to use, and all the communications in that get dumped into the city files, so it becomes public record. And whoever works with the food vendors, I'll give them the password for it, and then we have a way that we can all access the applications. We can all access the list of vendors and help communicate between.
Kim, this is Nikki. I just wanted to maybe suggest something. I'm not sure if this is possible, but we may want to try and facilitate an easier way of organizing all the vendors' information. Instead of having a actual PDF form that everyone is filling in and signing and then, either scanning and sending back, potentially using some kind of a Google or Microsoft form or a Google survey of some sort that we can send out, where the information will then just come back and be compiled into kind of an Excel spreadsheet, and everything is kind of organized for us. Is that possible for us to do?
That's very possible. This is Barbara from MIS. We have technology for that, and it's something that we can actively do, as we've been doing for other related events.
Great.
Yeah. And I know there's kind of signatures involved and there's permits, but I think that, and this is just from what I do with, my students in education,
Can't hear you.
They can upload those files, they can put them in there, and then the files are contained with their digital application as well. So I think it would make people's jobs a lot easier.
Definitely. It seems like no matter how simple, like I made it a fillable PDF last time, but then people printed it out and wrote it, and then we end up with a bunch of pictures of written permits. It gets complicated. You're right.
Yeah.
Ron is he gonna take the lead in contacting all the vendors?
Yeah, I
like
need someone to volunteer to just kind of be an assistant on that, and maybe check it once on the weekend just to make sure that we've responded to everyone, or and when it comes time to send out their packets and things like that. And also, I need someone to send out save the date right now, like as soon as possible to them.
Send out what? I'm sorry?
Save the date.
Save the date. We're not even there yet. Oh, man. Does anybody on the board want to volunteer for that up front? You're helping out point person for the retail food vendors?
I can help with that.
No.
Ms. Mosblet or Tom?
Nikki?
Yeah, I was just going to say I've worked with the email quite a bit before, and I've sent out previous save the dates. I don't have any problem helping out. And if it's just checking things kind of once a week, it's hard for me to do it during the week, but once on the weekend is totally doable. And I think especially I'm happy to help out with, helping to create the digital survey as well. So I'd be happy to help as well.
Great. And Thomas, I actually need a volunteer to come with me to the park. We need to map out vendor locations because there's new fire regulations. We have to put 4 feet between the booths now. So I want to map it out.
Okay.
And so we'll have the little measure wheel, and we'll map, so we know we have the vendor, how many spots we have available.
Let me know.
All right?
I'm just gonna skip the ones that already have volunteers, and I'll just go to the ones that you need people for.
Right.
You have the IRC fire rescue permit and the state food vendor permit, and we'll need people on that.
It's basically you take all of that second page of the application, and they're submitted to the state food, and you make sure that all the vendors have their license numbers. So that'll all be done by Ron as he gathers the vendor applications. So it's part Ron. So it's just someone to make sure that the check request goes in on time. That's it. I guess that's me. So.
So rescue permits and vendor permit is going to be Kim?
It'll be Ron and I, yeah, because I have to do the check request. Someone else can do that. I feel like in the past you did that, Charles.
I
you?
did do that, yes, ma'am. That's why I was, see, what I'm waiting for is nobody to take it up first, and then I'll be the last man standing. So, you guys have all got backup.
Put your name on everything now, then.
No matter what happens, we're gonna get this done. But I do, one of the things I've learned a lot in the years that I've been here, is I have limitations. One of the things about growing up in this area, I got to live with spacemen who walked on the moon and cowboys out west of town. Gave us an attitude that we can accomplish anything, but obviously we know that I didn't do the food vendors very well, would be one way of saying it.
Well, you shouldn't have volunteered for a job when you don't have internet or you don't have a computer capability.
It was.
But it's
I
all
was
right.
still gonna
We got
do
it handled.
And
We got it
luckily, Ms.
handled.
Mossplit also again taught me a good lesson on making sure that when you volunteer for something, you finish it. So I have learned a lot here. So, but again, if nobody else would step up, I'll do my best. Okay, we'll just keep on going. Be a gopher tortoise as a question, but I'll do it. It gets a little busy between jumping up on stage and running back to the
I
turtle.
think it's someone else just needs to set it up, and then we usually have the volunteers run it. Last time we had the volunteers run it, I think they did well. I think we'll have volunteers again to run it. I think that works out. I just think we just need to have someone to set it up. How it is, we have a kit, and it has these poles, and it makes a tunnel so that you're going into the gopher tortoise burrow, and the animals are in there, so you can see what animals are in the burrow, and you crawl down the 40-foot hole.
Yeah, no, it's great. Everybody, I mean, we had
It's cute.
adults
Little kids
going
love it.
down it. It was everybody. I took pictures.
And then we have some other like educational stuff about tortoises and activity there.
No, it was really good.
And really just someone needs to help set it up in the morning because you need to set up MC stuff, and
What time does this start?
it starts at 9.
But we get set up probably around 7, don't we? We get there, and actually really early because
You were
we
there
lay
in
out.
dark, yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody has to lay out all the spaces. So we were there before dawn, and it's just the way it's been the last few years. Who wants to be the gopher tortoise this year?
You don't have to be a gopher tortoise. Don't scare them. It's not a costume.
No, it's not.
Or at least we don't tell them that until the day of.
The kids love it, though. I have to admit that.
The little kids, it's the little.
All right. Well, we'll circle back to that. So we'll see what we got. Okay. Now we got the scavenger hunt, and that is. I thought we run that from our table.
Right, well, but we were talking about, one of our sustainable Sebastian items is doing a GPS-based hunt for this year. And I actually have contacts with the Treasure Coast Muncie Club and the Space Coast Geo Store that we might actually get them to help set up something. So it'd be someone to work with that person that we get to determine where around there are good historic and environmental points that we want to send them to. And they just use their device to do the hunting. It'd be kind of cool. So the details of that I can't really explain. I mean, I've done them before though. They're cool. And most kids have devices at this point.
Send them all over Sebastian.
Well, yeah, we want to keep them in the area so they can.
Who would like to participate? Who wants to be the point person for scavenger hunt?
It really would just be like coming up with a list of historic and environmental spots around that area, and I have the contact, so I'll contact the person, and then probably the day of it'd probably be, I don't know the details of what we would want to do.
Can other people other than board members participate as well?
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know anybody in particular, but say like I'm running tight for volunteers right now, and I've only made it to gopher tortoise.
As we get closer, it'll sort itself out a
Yeah,
little
that's what I
better.
figured. Okay.
This
I'm not
sounds
gonna
like
worry
you just
about
have to. How many locations are you looking to go to?
Yeah, I think like 6 or 8, something that will take them out to the dock to,
Are they gonna be within walking distance of,
Yeah,
of the
like
park?
from the Twin Piers.
You can't send them out like 14 miles somewhere?
No, from like the Twin Piers to Mulligan's
Have some fun.
and around there. But like there's the sign at the front of Riverview Park for what is his name? The botanist that classified all the. I'm talking. I know it's after 5. We're done. That plaque that's at the front, that's a good spot because it could.
William Bartram.
William Bertram Trail. I think that's a good spot.
Yeah.
Just locations like that, we have a lot of them right in that area, and we could point out some environmental things like spoil islands or whatever. But there's just something for.
Wow, that was a long scavenger hunt. Okay, well, we can circle back to that. And again, we got a little bit of time to address all these things.
Hi,
there's
this
Go ahead.
is Ruth. Kim, I recall that prior to our last one of these, that you had already come up with a list of items. I had forwarded you some additional suggestions. They didn't get included, so there's probably
Oh, right.
Some prior material that I could find that I sent.
That's right.
But
I forgot about that.
I also recall that we ended up manning it from the actual NRB booth. And I mean, we haven't gotten to the NRB booth, but anybody who is there can certainly pass it along. And I do volunteer to be at the NRB booth. And so if it comes to, just handing out, essentially as kids come up to the table, it's where it was, right? That they came up and were handed the scavenger hunt. And then the only other thing about it was that we had rewarded someone at the end who had completed it. So they had to come back and bring a piece of trash or something with them to recycle, and we watched them put it in, and we accepted their application. Anyway, I mean...
Yeah, I don't know the details. I'm thinking that Treasure Coast Geo Store, they do things like this, and not speaking for them, but in the past they provided prizes. So I think once we start working with the people, they're going to coordinate it. We'll learn more about what we need to do to make it happen. Where we would be assisting. Maybe they would run the whole thing from their booth and they'll be right next to us. I have no idea. But that's just something we really have to meet with them to know.
So I volunteered to be a liaison for that effort, and also to be at the booth.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ruth, for volunteering for scavenger hunt. We'll keep on going through. We have other activities for people if you want to, just in general, there's a lot going on. Can we request for volunteers on our webpage?
Yeah, there always is.
Like, hey, look, we got Earth Day coming up. If you'd like to volunteer just for this Earth Day, go ahead and contact Kim and Robert.
Can I also bring up a poster contest with some of the schools?
Are we going to have time to do a poster again this year?
Well, I'm thinking that the children would do the posters and we would give out a prize for the best one or whatever, right?
It's a great idea.
I mean, I know before, Kim, you had said something about you have to go to the school board and all that, but I don't think you have to do that if you go to the private schools, the charter schools, St. Edward's School, or if you, I have an art teacher at the middle school, Spasham Middle School that I'm working with that might be able to champion it.
I think we should, I thought it should be one school.
Just one.
Right. Yeah, and I think the charter middle is a great one to pick. They're a great school.
Do you have a contact there?
Science. I only have science contacts, but I can find one.
Well, okay, because I'll be happy to follow up on that. But we do have to come up with a prize, which is probably, something monetary, I think.
So we want to put you on the point for the poster contest?
Yes.
Okay.
Would there be an opportunity for some of these to be displayed somehow maybe near the booth or something?
I think that we would probably, put at least the top 10 up. I mean, we could put them up next to our art booth.
Yeah. I can print posters in my office, so.
Yeah. But again, we have to budget a prize, whatever that might be.
Well, we'll have to figure out, maybe it's something that we can get another organization to sponsor a prize for, things like that.
Okay.
Didn't we do the pine cones and the paint the rocks? Are we going to do that again this year?
I'd like to mix it up, see if we can do, like how we solicited on the vendor applications last year, to do activities that we put, like, that it'll bring more traffic to your booth, and a lot of vendors were going to have activities. A lot of them were going to sponsor their own activities, so we had like 5 different things, including like a live beehive, and it was really cool. So there's going to be a lot of things happening that we don't have to manage. It gets a lot when we're getting little supplies for these activities. You're only 9 people. So you really have to lean on other environmental organizations and vendors to help with that. And when we asked for it, a lot of them came forward and wanted to do it. And Curb was going to do one. So I think when we give enough notice, a lot of them already have sort of activities on hand that they kind of do, like their go-to thing.
Do you think we're on short notice right now with the Earth Day, how we're doing it? Are we just getting started up and running? Because we only got 3 more meetings between now and then. Okay, all right. I'll keep on moving down
It's a lot
the
of
list.
work days for me, so.
A lot of work days. Earth Day. Other activities, talk about the poster contest. I'll move on to Living Docks. IRC has pre-made oyster mats. Suggested activity of attaching them to the 3 municipal docks. We will need a volunteer group to champion this activity and an NRB member to coordinate. Who would like to coordinate that?
I can see that being a good activity for the Boys and Girls Club. They always help out every year. But, we'll reach out to some organizations and see who comes back. Or one of the scout troops, for sure. That'll be a good scout thing. That's what I mean. So if someone wanted to champion it, they would reach out, see if we can get a group that's interested in it. And it'd be a great activity to do during the event, to bring attention. I think they did it one year at Earth Day, like 4 years ago, when they put the Boy Scouts put the oyster bags out there. That was during an Earth Day event. And every year at Earth Day, everybody's like, what about the oyster bags out there? What about those oyster? No one ever forgot about those oyster bags. They're not there. The storms blew them out.
Didn't work out.
Everyone always asks about them. So I think that it's a great opportunity to do a service learning type thing that'll bring attention to it. And then every time people go out to those docks, they'll look at the mats and see what's growing on them.
And we have the equipment already?
Yeah, so someone had donated to the county thousands and thousands of mats. They were actually breaking them down to put the oyster shells back into bags to do a different thing. And she told me just to let her know how many we'd want, that we don't even have to tie them onto the thing. We just have to zip tie them to the pilings, that's it. So what it is, it's like a plastic mesh, and you take the oyster shells, once they've cured for a few months, they're completely sterile. You drill the holes in them, and then they zip tie them to these plastic mats. Those mats get tied around the pilings, and they attract oyster spat and other creatures. And it's really cool. The ones over at our Oyster Garden site have actually been checked out by FIT, and as a graduate student is using it as one of her sites that she's checking. So it'll be interesting to see her paper when she gets finished. But she said that it's got one of the highest diversity of creatures is on our Oyster Garden dock. And I think it's obviously because of our baskets hanging there, that it's getting a lot of fresh spat and stuff regularly. And
Sounds like a really good opportunity to get wet and muddy, so I'm all in.
yeah, kids love that.
All right, Mr. Carrier is doing Living Docks. Will he need anybody else?
I'll help you if you need
Mr.
help.
Carrier or Mr. Tom?
I will say, it's fun. I've taken kids in that riprap that's right there where the docks are. There's a lot of cool stuff in that riprap, and you just can pull up stuff and talk about things in there. It's fun. I might jump in there.
Okay, and then, of course, volunteers in general. You'd spoken about the Boys and Girls Club, the Scout Troops. Do you need a point person to be on top of that,
Contact volunteer organizations.
Will will the other contacts that everybody's making along with everything else suffice for that, or?
We just,
Like, because you're going to do with Living Docs, we're going to contact them for, and then for, I think we
we need someone to reach out for general volunteers to work the event. So, just like the middle school, Charter Middle gave us volunteers before, and I'm happy to have I'll put out a sign-in sheet and I'll submit it to their office of the school.
Do you have a list of those that participated in the past, that, like a contact person? Or
It would
you just
be
say-
different because it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
So
What-
2 years ago, I was the person who did volunteers, and the prior year, there was a set of email addresses that a lot of them bounced back as being invalid, and very little response from any of that, but calling the Boys and Girls Club was successful. It took a phone call. The email didn't seem to work with that, and they were the ones that were primarily the volunteers for the event in 2019? Yeah, 2019, last time.
Yeah, I think they've helped out every year, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
They do the cleanup too with Curb, and they did the Gopher Tortoise last year too. It's not like we don't need 100 volunteers. We just need 2 groups, and I think the Charter Middle and Boys and Girls Club will probably be good. I just need someone to contact them and keep in communication with them.
Who, do we have a volunteer from our board who'd like to be point person for that?
I can do it again. This is Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth. The NRB booth, I think we all kind of man that.
I mean, everybody's going to man it. The thing is to streamline our message. You know, I think a few years ago when I first started, we had like 5,000 brochures on our table. It was insane. And then there was a lot of crossover. So like we had a lot of stuff that other groups that were there it was their material. So we aren't going to do that. So we're going to stick to things that are sustainable Sebastian initiatives. And also, you know, we have a little more budget to work with, and I think that it would be a good idea once we know the kinds of things we want to have at that booth and the information we want to have, we could get some nicer display stuff. So we don't just have stacks of brochures that are constantly blowing over. Maybe there's a better brochure holder. Maybe there's, you know, some things that we can anchor down better. So I think we can make a better display than we usually do. I think when we're the host of an event, like, you're expected to have a big noticeable booth. And I think we have a little budget to play with on that. So I guess just someone to help pare things down, and we can look through some materials and see what kind of things we might look into purchasing.
Is there a digital virtual integration that we can do with this Earth Day, where somebody can just basically go online and participate, whether they can feel like they're there today, or I see a lot of different things that people do online now with 360.
I'm not going to make this a project for MIS. They have a lot. They have enough on there.
Well, I'm trying to get rid of some of the papers that we have sitting, because we had a whole table full of stuff.
Right.
And everybody has a whole table full of papers, and if I can put that all on digital, or at least even if I did 5%.
We have it on
I'm
our
just saying.
website.
Yeah, I'm seeing like whatever I can and keep incorporating all that. All right, so NRB booth, we don't have to worry about that. Advertising. Says, do we need a point person for that?
I'm going to use the flyer from last year. I'm just modifying it for this year. I put a lot of work into that, and it really didn't get much traction because we had to cancel the event. So, and then I'll have the printed copies, the PDF, and the 2 digital versions. I'll email out to everyone, so you can post it on social media or whatever, your organization's page. I contact the school board to get approval for a black and white flyer, and then they have to be distributed. So it's mainly someone to help distribute the black and white flyers. They also go to the area preschools, and I have the addresses and the contacts. But I'll do the part where I contact the school board and get approval, and I'll print it. Someone helps cut them, and then we distribute them out to the spots.
So you're going to be one point person on it then, it sounds like.
I'm point on everything, but,
I don't mean to
can help
point at
you
you,
with
Kim, I'm
the-
sorry, no point.
but I need someone to assist.
I
Also,
can help you with that,
Yeah.
with cutting and dispersing and whatever else.
we usually split them up because I hit some of these spots on my inspections weekly anyway.
Sounds like an art project, definitely. Okay.
We also, we need to search out the local online event calendars to market the event. And we may potentially have funds for this, but it would require board approval. So it's something to look into, but don't commit to until we get board approval. I know the last Earth Day event, and I didn't know how we got on there, but someone was driving down the highway and they were on some website and it said, Earth Day event in Sebastian, like, oh, we're coming up on Sebastian, let's go to it. And ended up buying this woman like $300 worth of art from her, and she was like, made her day.
Wow. Great.
And I don't know how we got on there, but the thing is, there's a lot of these out there that are posting community events, and someone just needs
everybody's
to spend the
sharing
time
nowadays.
to find them. And I mean, there's a lot that we know, like Flash, and have information on Flash, whoever would like to go into the marketing, that we might want to consider. They definitely have a lot of, they put these everywhere, so. Just things to think about, and then I'll send out press releases to everyone, to the people listed here. This is just all the planning is in here, so that's it. Someone to help distribute the flyers and someone to help with,
If anybody
like, just
is
researching online stuff, just someone who has time to, like, look for those calendars and stuff online and just submit I'll write up the press release. You just submit the press release to them, just so we can get on
I
it.
have a list of a lot of those
Oh,
things
for
for
your
our art
events.
shows, so I can distribute
Great,
to the ones that I have already, so I'll show you the list.
thank you. That'd be really helpful. Yeah.
Really
So I don't know
cool.
if we want to think about, we'll discuss it in the future, because we'd only do it a month out. So maybe next meeting, we'll think about Flash, and I'll put their media packet into our agenda packet, and we'll discuss it. If it's worth it or not. I mean, a lot of people use it, but
I
do we
can
want?
tell you, because we put stuff in that Flash, and it's $100 to go into the printed copy.
Mhm.
It's $40 for their online newsletter that goes out like the Thursday before the event to nonprofits.
Nice. Well,
So-
there's different sizes too, so if you just want to be in the calendar, if you want to buy an ad in it, a bunch of, it can get really
You
pricey.
can be on
It can
the
get really
calendar.
pricey.
You can be listed in the calendar for free,
Oh, really?
but to take the ad, it's $100.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody volunteering, and there's a lot of work to do between now and April 24th. It'll go so fast. It's been exciting to participate in the last few years, and I'd like to thank the City of Sebastian for allowing us to do it. But it is really exciting. It's a good event. It's good to get the word out for NRB and everything we stand for. The next thing would be items from the City of Sebastian.
That's just a list of
Yep,
the
just
things
list of
that may
stuff. And they've
change,
been
so as we get
fantastic.
activities or whatever, it'll change. This is a list of everything that's
Yep.
going on that it'll be modified every meeting, updated every meeting, so.
Yeah, those guys come
And
in
then
with
the important
trucks.
thing is look at the last item on there.
We like the last item is the total NRB funds for 2020. We still have $2,000 in the account.
No, this is new budget. October
okay,
1st
all
is
right,
new fiscal
okay.
year.
And
So
then,
that budget was approved, and we have a $2,000 budget.
Okay, thank you. And then do we have to vote on any expenditures or anything?
No, we just did on the
Okay, that's
entertainment. That's
okay.
the thing that he
Right.
needs to get the contracts out to him, so before he could do that, he needed your approval, so. That's
Is-
the only thing at this point. But, we'll see how it shapes up. I think, I feel like some display thing would be useful, and we could use it for other events, something to look into. But I don't know what else might come up, or an activity that we really want to do, so we'll see how it shapes up.
And that's an ongoing thing that we're going to be.
I remember we purchased a lot of the merchandise already from last year's fiscal budget, so we have the tote bags and stickers to hand out. So maybe we see something else we want to hand out, but.
One other item, if I may. You mentioned our booth, and of course, one of the big points that we need to get across is more about sustainable Sebastian. And picking up on something Ruth said earlier, and having to deal with beverage containers and whatnot, I wonder if a small expenditure to put on display at the booth of items for food takeout and whatnot that are of a more sustainable use than some of the things that we see, rather than going to each vendor and suggesting to them. I mean, we've got to work with businesses down the road, and that's going to be a substantial task. We've got to prove to them that it's economically feasible to perhaps change some of their methodology for takeout foods and the like. And I wonder if a small expenditure of examples of alternatives, maybe on display at our booth.
I already have them. I've been collecting them from
Yeah.
different companies, so I
Yeah.
have them in a box.
Fantastic.
It just says, like, sustainable alternatives box, and it's back in the storage, so I can pull it out and we can make a nice foam board with it.
And also invite distributors.
Like something like use this, not that, use this, not that kind of thing.
Yeah, but at this point, not preaching, but suggesting alternatives as they dovetail with the Sustainable Sebastian Plan and the work that this committee has done. That'd be a nice display. Get away from plastic straws. Here are some alternatives. Get away from styrofoam containers. Here are some alternatives, and so on. It might help the continuity of the message a little bit better, I think, especially since we're looking for some sort of containers for the medicinal value of beer, as pointed out by our chair earlier.
Let's not get into that.
This is Ruth. I was wanting to tack on a little bit more on the topic for the Earth Day. If I may add one new thing, and it is a repeated item from our agendas, which was to come up with a simple explanation of what is sustainability and kind of that flyer that I don't think we've ever officially done. And I think if I were to say what is my goal with this next Earth Day is that people start to have a clue as to what is the term, what is meant by sustainability, and they start to think about some of the things that we might have on our table or they come across at that event, so that it starts to become more of a buzzword, something that they start to think about or hear about. And certainly we can have all the details at the booth, but I would like maybe even at every vendor that we have, that we hand it to them, and that hopefully it's not trash blowing around, and perhaps we could do it in a different way. Like we can hand it to them as part of that form filling out, that they acknowledge what sustainability is, so that we start to get that word out to people, and that it's a term that they all know.
We can make it part of the vendor packet.
Yeah, thanks.
You're right about that, Ruth. We have spoke about that, to have just a, when we say Sustainable Sebastian, what is the stamp on that? And I guess we really should make that an item on the agenda to have a real discussion on that at some point, because I think
we've discussed this.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
And we have a resolution, so, but I
Right.
can pick pieces of the resolution and we can make it into an attractive flyer. That's something I can do.
Is there any other comments on anything we've spoken about so far? I think everybody's picked their tasks that they want to champion, and again, thank you to everybody volunteering for that. Is there any other discussion on number 7, new business, item 3? Okay, I'm going to move on to number 8, old business. Item A, stormwater integrated pest management update.
I'll go ahead with that. So we just held our second meeting. Next week will be our third, and so far we the last meeting was preceded by a site visit to various stormwater sites where we discussed the vegetation management challenges at each, and the included how all of these stormwater features are going to be classified so that we would approach them. So when we looked at the parks IPM, we went by the type of park. So there was active, passive, and athletic, and that was how we determined what the tolerance was for pests. Like it's, very low for an athletic park, but it's pretty high for a passive park where someone just walks on a trail. So to look at a stormwater integrated pest management version of that, we are dividing with ditches, ponds, canals, and structures, where ditches, we basically have never sprayed ditches for any pests, and then structures we have to keep clear all the time so that they can be functional. We also created a stormwater IPM webpage, so if you want to look up any of the resources, any of the presentations and information that's presented at the meetings is on that website. And that's it. The next meeting will be Tuesday, actually, instead of Monday, it will be Tuesday, December 8th at 2 p.m. here in council chambers.
Does anybody else have any comment on the IPM update? I thought it was pretty interesting when we went and visited those sites. And, for me, it took me back to places that I've been going to since I was a kid. Like I said, I camped out at the one site. And I was really amazed. The one thing I did find was when we went to the dam and, like, all the weed that was in the canal was at the bottom of the dam.
Well, yeah, so we were talking about the duckweed, and it was really widespread around Hardy Park, and Brian was saying, well, where'd all the duckweed go? And well, it goes downstream. So we got out of the cars at the Hardy Park Dam that's right there at the Twin Ditches at the end of Wimbrow. And there was literally probably a 5-foot-high pile of duckweed because it floats on the surface. So when the water spills over the top of the dam, there goes all the duckweed. So
it was 5 foot high to be conservative, but it was like 30 feet long too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. That was a spot that I used to go to too as a very young person, and that used to be an open, almost like open water pond when I was a kid. Now it's all overgrown with the sawgrass and everything else. One of the other things I noticed too is that other than the movement of the not spraying of the glyphosate, that seems to be the number one thing. They don't want to spray the poison glyphosate. But I noticed that some people want to leave the weed. They want to just leave it grow. And I was kind of surprised. I mean, I understand some of the natural plants and not spraying everything and just wiping it out, but it seemed to be, there was people there who just said, leave it alone, let it grow. And I didn't know where that was coming from.
Well, a lot of people feel that, well, if the plants are there, they're natural. And they do. They uptake nutrients, definitely. But we have to maintain the storage capacity, the movement, and the treatment ability of that water. So when we're talking about vegetation starts out competing, and it's not really natural because most of what we fight is invasive. We've brought these invasive things here. It's not natural for hyacinth to be here. They don't belong here, and they spread exponentially. So controlling them is important. Yes, they take up a lot of nutrients, but we have to control them because they seasonally will die off, and they will create, a number of other problems. So, yes, that's something that's often suggested, but I don't think that that's a direction that we would go because it would, and that's where we're at now, is that we've let all this stuff go, and look where we're at, where a lot of our stormwater system is being impaired by them, obviously. We saw a lot of examples of that, so.
But the problem is when you're dealing with plants, every plant has a positive behind it. Some plants have negatives behind them, especially when they're aquatic vegetation. You have to balance the two. So there are lots of people that say, just leave them alone, let them be. They produce oxygen, they absorb nutrients, they do a lot of positive things. They also cause sedimentation, reduce capacity, and slow down water flow. So you have to balance those two things out. It's not an easy task, and it's not a cheap task, except for spraying. That's the cheapest thing you can do.
$25,000 a year for spraying.
Yeah.
But that was minimal, and we still, you know, we're not trying to have at $25,000 a year was only 80 gallons of chemical for the whole year over the entire stormwater system. So we're not talking a whole lot of spraying. However, you know, that we're not saying that the shoreline needs to be sterile, and I think that that's a misunderstanding. And I think we keep saying we want to enhance shoreline vegetation. We're not trying to have sterile shorelines. We don't want grass going right up to the water. We want that emergent vegetation is important for a lot of things, environmentally and for water quality and just in general. But I mean, it's a balance. So yeah, we want that shoreline vegetation, but at the same time, some of this vegetation takes over and then impairs the other functions that we need the stormwater features to hold.
And anybody who wants to participate in any of these meetings, it's open, again, set up by the city council for open discussion so that the whole community can participate. And it's a very important topic. Any other old business talking about item A, stormwater IPM update? Anybody want to discuss anything? Okay, we will move on to item 9, member matters. Again, we'll start with Tom.
Yeah, I've got nothing at this time.
Anything? Donna?
I just want to tell everyone, invite everyone to come to our holiday bazaar at the Art Club on Saturday between 11 and 3. And I have flyers here if anybody wants one. Thanks.
Art Club.
If you want to leave some for the front here, for Ron to pass out.
Anybody online participating with the board? With member matters?
This is Patrick. I have nothing at this time.
If nobody else has anything, the only thing I have, it's our last meeting of the year. I'd like to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whichever holiday you celebrate. I wish you a happy day every day. It's been a very, really tough year for everybody, so you know, I wish everybody a happy holiday going forward. I don't have any other member matters. Any item 10, staff matters?
Yeah. So last month I said that I would bring the numbers, and I forgot, for the shredding recycle event that we had on September 26th. It's just really cool. 7,500 pounds of shredding material were collected at that event, and 2,520 pounds of e-waste were brought to the dump.
That's a lot.
That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Almost 80,000 pounds.
People did a lot of cleaning out during quarantine. And I also would like to congratulate Miss Donna Ware for being elected the new president of the Art Club.
Yay.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having a great partnership with the Art Club.
President of the Art Club. You know who's going to win the poster contest? Is there any other staff matters? We'll move on to item 11. Items for next agenda. Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration planning. I think we spoke about that a lot tonight.
Yep.
Is there any additional comment on Earth Day, Arbor Day celebration planning? No? If not, I'll move on to item 12. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
I motion to adjourn.
Tom motion first. Donna motion second. Any comment? Motion to adjourn is carried.